That's lobby. Lobby for lobby gobblers. Here.
Well, good morning from Burnley. We're at Woodend Mining Museum. And we're going to go and have a trek with Tussie today over at Hilltop. But before that, we're going to have a good look around Burnley Mining Museum. And Carol's going to make us some breakfast. And it's a fantastic place. And I encourage more of you to come down here and support it really. And have a good take in what history there is here. Hey Morgan. It's a bit tight in here though.
So today finds us in Lancashire, in the town of Burnley, and we're at the Burnley Mining Museum at Smithson Farm, which used to be the former Woodend Colliery at Burnley. Now, although known really as a cotton manufacturing town, and for its football team obviously, Burnley was a big coal mining place. And if we go back to the mid-1800s, a coach driver who was taking somebody on a journey there to Burnley and dropping them off, the passenger asked what Burnley was famous for, and the coach driver said, well, Burnley is famous for cotton, clogs and coils. And anybody that can really speak English knows that coil is the way that you pronounce coal. So this is the location of Smithson Farm, and this is where actually Woodend Colliery was. And Woodend was sunk between 1910 and 1912, but it was sunk to serve the already existing Reedley Colliery. Now, Reedley Colliery dated back to 1879 and was sunk 210 yards to the Arley Mine, the famous Burnley Arley Mine. And Woodend really was a man-riding shaft to cut down the travelling time. And this is where the pit actually was, in this area, where the museum is today, actually. And as you can see in the background, we've got the lovely Pendle Hill. So what you can combine in your visit is obviously the mining museum and spend a lot of time there and get to know Carol and Harry, but also it can be a springboard to the beautiful villages round about Pendle. And there's more to Pendle than the famous witch trials of 1612 and all the trinkets that you find round about. If you do go around Pendle, don't look at it with all the trinkets in mind. Think of all the social injustice that was done and the travesty of justice that was carried out there. We had a paranoid monarch, a local justice of the peace, Roger Noel, who basically was fawning to the king, and a load of judges that were fawning to the king, and a lot of very poor people. Obviously, some of them led an alternative lifestyle, but certainly a big travesty of justice went on there. And coming back up Barden Lane, this is actually where the Reedley Colliery was. On the banks of the Leeds and Liverpool Canal, there was a coal loading wharf there. And this is where the shafts were sunk at Reedley, as I say, around about 1879, 210 yards down to the famous Burnley Arley Mine. Woodend itself was sunk between 1910 and 1912, again to the Arley, but to be used as a man-riding shaft. Reedley Colliery itself was quite experimental, actually. In later years, under nationalisation, they worked the Dandy mine, and they experimented using the American method of mining. For those that aren't really up on the coal mining technology, the American system is quite different to the British system. A lot of the mines in America use the mechanized pillar and stall, where all the roads are at seam height, and they worked using... Well, now they've got continuous miners in there, but then there were art wall cutters. They used roof bolts rather than roof supports, and the coal was transported to the conveyor belts on shuttle cars. They're very long and low, and the driver were more or less laid down. And that district at Reedley was known as the Yankee District. A very pioneering enterprise that was going on at the time period. In fact, in looking at Tommy Chapman's book, one lad was knocked over by one of the shuttle cars, and while he was laid in Burnley General Hospital, a policeman came in and asked him if he knew the registration of the car that knocked him over. Reedley had the first bit of baths in the area. They were opened around about 1914, and I have been told they were only the second in the country, but I can't verify that. And in later years, again under nationalisation, the pit was joined to Bank Hall Colliery by a surface drift, which took all Reedley coal then to Bank Hall, to the screens, and then to be distributed from there. Now, the Woodend and Reedley, they got their closure notice in 1959. Woodend closed in 1959, and Reedley sort of limped on into the next year, finally closing in May of 1960. So that's a bit of a whistle-stop history on the two pits. So let's go and meet Carol and Harry now at the Mining Museum.
We're at Burnley Mining Museum at Woodend. This used to be Woodend Colliery, and Carol Johnson and Harry Johnson, they own it, and they've put a lot of their own work into it, and we're trying to get it a bit of publicity and show you what they've got here, so it's really enjoyable, and we encourage you all to come and have a look at what's going on here. But we're going to ask Carol, how did you start here, Carol? What got you a love and wanting to make a mining museum?
It was quite by accident. The whole site was derelict. It had been derelict since the mine closed in 1959, and all that had happened with the land was that it had been tipped up, so there was a huge pile of manure and it was just a mess. And I know the first day I came on here, I more or less fell up onto where the mine had been. It was like there was a step up, and I remember standing on it and saying to Harry, "What is this?" And he said, "Oh, it's the head of the old shaft." Thought no more about it. It was a huge goat willow over it. Anyway, then we started to clear it. We took the old trees out and cleared, and as we cleared, we found items that obviously related to the mine. I didn't know what they were, didn't know what they were for, but they obviously related to the mine, so we put them to one side. Don't ask me why, I don't really know. But we put them to one side, and then after we got the site somewhat straight, we had an open day for Marie Curie, because we have sort of 500,000 daffodils on site. Wow. So we had an open day for them, and I put in one of the stables, as they were then, I put a table with our beekeeping stuff on, and I put this other table in, and I can only describe it as a table of rust. and people came and they said, oh, I know what that is, and oh, I have one of these at home, I'll bring it. And people started to come in with things. Yeah. And I just had this table a bit fuller of rust then. And then, I don't know, I just got interested in it, and people were bringing things, and I managed to find things on eBay and various things like that. And then got talking to quite a few miners. And one of them, Ken Howarth from, well, I'm not saying he's a miner, but very interested.
I know Ken.
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Well, he said he was going up to Keswick, to the Mining Museum there. And he said, why don't you come with me? He said, because he's getting rid of a lot of his stuff. So we went up and literally bought loads and loads of stuff off Ian Tyler. And Ken kindly brought it down in his van, and it started from that.
From that, yeah.
I know we drove down in our car with a miner dressed up with his boots facing the window, and I said, any minute now we're going to get sirens. We've got a body in the car. So yeah, it started from there, and what I knew about mining I could have written on a stamp.
Yeah.
I've learnt a lot from the miners who come here. They are absolutely brilliant.
So do you have like a hardcore that keep coming back? And
yeah,
have yeah.
Sometimes we come up and they just sat nattering outside, and we try and get a Christmas party together for them at Christmas. Obviously, they're aging, so we've lost one or two.
Yeah.
But we have two miners on the committee, if you will. There's myself and Harry, and then I have two miners, both called Dennis.
Oh, you've got Dennis what?
Dennis Ward,
and
Dennis Corbett.
Oh, right, yeah, know them both, yeah.
And so we spent, like this year, we spent a few Tuesdays going through all the photographs and paperwork that I've got and deciding what we were keeping, what wasn't worth keeping. And so they're great that way because they know the people and they know the stories behind the people and they know, more importantly, they know which mine is which.
Yeah, yeah.
So we've got each table in here, hopefully attuned to a particular mine, and then all the stuff in the museum, it just keeps growing and growing and growing. But it's what annoys me, if that's the right word, is I can't get schools to come.
Oh.
You know, I mean, there's so many local schools who would, to my mind, benefit from this.
Yeah.
And they're more intent on learning about the Greeks and the Romans and the Egyptians.
Yeah.
And, I mean, there's kids literally walking past where Bank Hall used to be to the school round the corner, and they have no idea that there was a mine there that went down further than the Empire State Building goes up. And you think, come on, you need to know about your history, your local history. Yeah. You know, I'm not saying don't learn about the other, fine, but you need to know about the cotton industry, the coal industry, you know, because they were bread and butter
That's
to,
why we're
to
here,
the
isn't it?
community. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we did all the industrial history at school. It does seem to be in the past now, doesn't it? You know?
Yeah.
But they're not grooming you and I to go in the industry anymore, are they?
No. I mean, it was obviously there was the Industrial Revolution and the coal industry fueled the cotton industry, and that's like you say, that's like why we are here, and it sort of what should I say? It defines the area.
Yes, it does.
It defines the area, you know. And
but I suppose they're trying to give these areas new images now,
they
aren't
are.
they? So
it's
difficult. But I've found that people that's moved here, they're intrigued and they, I didn't know that history, and they are interested.
Yes.
Rosendale for a while we're going to have it as a tourist destination. But what they didn't realise was that tourists were interested in all these old things. You didn't have to hide it from them.
No.
An empty field is boring, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, it's. I mean, I've got people here from Australia, and excuse me, and one lady in particular came and found I think it was her uncle's name on the Moorfield disaster. So she took a photograph of it, and she went home. She told her brother, her sister, or whatever. And they've been, you know, when they come over, they come here, and. Because they would probably have gone to Australia as like the £10 pounds, wouldn't they, originally?
Yeah, they would.
And probably quite a lot.
Yeah.
I've got relatives who worked in the coal industry here. So I just wish I could get it out there more to people.
A bit more, yeah. Of course,
because it's very, very precious to me, and I try to make it as interesting as possible. And it's very relevant to the area, and I think it's relevant to a lot of people's lives. It makes people, especially when you think about children down in mines, which there were, it makes people think.
Yeah.
You know, because the kids today just sit and play with an iPad, and yet if you say to them, well, at your age you would actually have been shoveling coal or pushing a truck or a trapper on the doors, you know, they have no concept of that life.
A little bit. Well, you're playing on those devices as children in other countries, their age, that are still doing these jobs to make their devices to play on. It's pretty sobering, isn't it?
Yeah, it is really. Yeah, I think so. And I do think it would be good for schools to come.
It would be fantastic for schools, Carol. And it's a lovely place. It is. And I like the fact that I can put a cup on there and have a drink on Billy Clayton for the first time ever.
Yeah. Well, the miners do come. Bob Clayton comes and Rodney comes. The miners come. But it's sad when we lose one. You know, we've lost, obviously we've lost one or two, because I'm trying to think. Archer laid down, if you remember Archer.
I know the name. I was only a young'un at Apton Valley, so these were, older men.
But you know Bobby Clark.
I knew who Bobby Clark was and that. Yeah, of course I do.
Well, Bobby Clark was on our committee, and he did a lot to help us. You know, because he had so much knowledge. Nice guy, and he would come and he would talk to kids. You know, and Yeah, nice
That's what
chap.
you want, isn't it? To make it approachable to young people, yeah.
Well, and it's nice if I can get a miner to come and go around the museum with them.
Yeah.
Then he can explain and answer the questions that they've got, which I try to do, but sometimes I can't because I haven't got that knowledge, obviously.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
We also do it's not a quiz as such, but we also do a paper with all the old Lancashire sayings on.
All right, yeah.
And so, yeah, all right.
Yeah. Dialect's dying out now, isn't it?
Well,
yeah.
my car registration's all right.
Is it?
It takes a northerner to understand it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is all right.
Right. Oh, that's good. Yeah.
And but we get on this paper. It's all the old Lancashire ones, and we just see how many they can get.
Yeah.
And some people, the older people, think it's brilliant because they can do it, and the kids just look at it and it's like reading a foreign language, you know.
Yeah.
But it was again part of their heritage.
Of course it is.
You
Yeah.
know.
It is.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, we'll have a look around the museum, Carol. Thanks.
Yeah.
I hope
Okay.
Well, I wish you best in your endeavours. It's the amount of effort you've put in. Seriously. I mean, if I had a mining museum, it'd look like the pit cabin. It really would.
Well, I do it with Keith. Keith and I have spent a few weeks, didn't we, early in the year?
We did, yeah. Redoing pictures and that.
Yeah, we revamped everything to make it hopefully a nice experience and easier to follow, you know. To follow.
Oh, it's lovely and peaceful, Carol. Well, that's the pit that was here,
That's
isn't it?
it,
Woodend?
yeah, that's it.
It was like the back shaft for
Yeah.
Reedley, wasn't it?
And those are all Woodend. We don't know who them three are. We keep trying to identify them three. We don't know.
Dennis not known then.
Nobody seems to know who they are. No. For a map of the Lancashire coalfield.
1834. Done that on.
Yeah, we had that made down in South Wales.
The bloke in the low coal burner. So I went to Wales after that, which was his brother's pit. And is that based on anything in particular, Carol? The house?
Well, it's just to show sort of like the old era with the pit towels on and the t-shirts, and then the original cigarettes that the miners would have smoked. And then I've got a pair of glasses over there that belong to George Walsh, who was a miner.
I worked with George for a bit. Yeah, not long enough. Yes, I did work with George. And I've got a photo of George down Upton Valley. Yeah.
Right, well, his daughter brought me those in, and there's no lens obviously in one side, but there were no arms on either. He took them off so he put elastic bands on, so his glasses wouldn't fall off his nose when he were working. So
The mangle and wash day.
I like the bathtub. I like to tell kids, because I mean I remember we were lucky we had a bath in our house, but my friend and they had a bath on the old back gate, and on a Friday night her mother used to fill it, and cleaners went in first, followed by next one. She had, I forget, about 3 or 4 brothers, and they all used same bathwater. But that's what they did.
Yeah.
And that's where throwing the baby out with the bathwater comes from.
Of course, yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
right, yeah. The Husker Pit disaster, isn't it? The
Yes,
Smithson,
yeah.
which we've done a bit on,
Yeah.
so I'll try and give you some more on that.
Husker Memorial.
Animals aged 9, second grade. Elizabeth. Aged 15.
Mary Sellers, 10.
Aged 17.
There you are, Sarah Newton, 8. How would you like your 8-year-old daughter down the pit? That's what built British industry.
That's sad.
Been 3-year-old when he started to understand things, and then a couple of years later he was dead.
The two Birkinshaw brothers there. Joseph, aged 7, he'd actually been at the pit 3 days. And there's his brother, aged 10. Two more brothers there underneath, the Wright brothers, 12 and 8. 9, 9, 9, 8, 8, 10, 9. Goodness me, it's like junior school trip, isn't it?
The poem you've got on the trapper boy there, that's brilliant as well.
It is. It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, what a job, eh?
You see, what I tell people, he would have probably started with a candle, and then with door opening and shutting, it blows it out. So he gets a manual lighted again, and then it blows it out, and then eventually somebody will say, "Oh, it's not worth a light."
No,
And that's where these sayings come from, isn't it?
Yeah.
Shut your trap.
Yeah.
You know, these and people say, "Oh yeah," you know, because they don't know where they come from.
No, it's true that. In fact, I hadn't thought of that neither.
I like that up there, that
The penitent.
Good old days.
Yeah. Oh, he got a plan of Marston.
Marston.
Yeah. Well, again, I'll come back and have a good look at that. Well, this is based on the Apton Valley disaster, isn't it? In here.
Apton Valley, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the forensic map.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I've got 1 or 2 copies of that now. But Brian, who was on it, he used to be our chairman, Brian Maiden. I don't know if you knew Brian.
He was the mechanised. Was he the mechanisation officer?
He
The same
was-
Brian.
He's, I don't know, he was a mining engineer, surveyor.
Yeah.
He did, he was rescue, his father was rescuing, his uncle was rescuing as well. But he did the walkthrough after the explosion, and they did that map.
Aren't they?
I think so.
And that's the Lambretta. Who owns the Lambretta, Carol, then?
Ronnie Cheetham is Ronnie Taylor's nephew. No, Ronnie was the youngest victim of the Apton Valley disaster, so he had it done in his honour, and it's got the names of the dead on. This is Dennis Corley on the side.
I've seen that photograph, aye. Yeah.
But this is all about Apton Valley, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
It came here
fantastic.
when we opened it first, and then it went off to New Zealand, but it's back sort of permanently now.
No, it's brilliant, Carol, absolutely. Right.
Well, I'm sorry we cut that short, really. It looked to have a bit of an abrupt ending in the museum, and the reason was there was an electrician coming to do some work, so we had to vacate the premises. See, electrician Sparky's messing it up again, production, you see. Now you can see there we included the Husker Memorial that we did a couple of years ago, because Carol's got a little bit of a section there on the Husker mining disaster, and if you don't know about that, I suggest you look it up. We've got I like to think, a good video on it called Stuff for Little Children that talks about what happened in the Yorkshire village of Silkston back in 1838 and what also happened in Norden near Rochdale on the same day, caused by the same storm. And hopefully I can give Carol some information on that and she can put it together as a display. So that is the actual memorial over at Silkston that Clark, the mine owner, put up in the churchyard. So thanks for watching the video. Thanks too for the hospitality of Carol. And you don't see Harry on the video, sadly. Now, an interesting thing about Harry that we talked about a little bit, there was in the village of Dean at Water in 1939 2 young lads went looking supposedly for an air raid shelter, and they went in the old Dean pit and they were never ever seen again. Not a sign, not a trace, even though the colliers from Nab and Grimebrig combed the workings. I mean, the workings were extensive, they never found them at all. Not a match, not a footprint, diddly squat. And then later Jimmy Cropper reopened the pit as Cardrift, and then he went on the other side up at Doles, and they found not a trace of them. So it's one of the mysteries of the Rosendale coalfield, what happened to the 2 young lads. Now Harry is actually related to one of them, and on one occasion a lady on a bus thought Harry was actually him. So there you go. So that's something to talk to Harry about as well. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I can't encourage you enough to go along and support that mining museum. It's a fantastic little place, and really it should be a hub for all the local historians, shouldn't it? Just like Astley Green seems to bring people in. Well,
it'd be nice if you know, a lot of the local historians used that museum a lot more as a meeting place and a discussion place. But again, thanks to Carol, thanks for the breakfast, thanks for the hospitality, and thank you all for watching this video.